Joining us now to discuss, Republican Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana. He's the chairman of the Senate Health Committee. He's a medical doctor. Dr. Cassidy, I know you want to talk about your health care proposal, and I promise you we will get to it, but I do want to ask you, because RFK Jr. promised you that he wouldn't do this. Here is an exchange you had with him during his confirmation hearing.
If the data is brought to you, and these studies that have been out there for quite some time and have been peer-reviewed, and it shows that these two vaccines are not associated with autism, will you ask, no, I need even more? Or will you say, no, I see this, it's stood the test of time, and I unequivocally and without qualification say that this does not cause autism?
Not only will I do that, but I will apologize for any statements that misled people otherwise.
Thank you.
Dr. Cassidy, he lied to you.
Well, first let me say what is most important to the American people. Speaking as a physician, vaccines are safe. As has been pointed out, it's actually not disputed. It's actually quite well proven that vaccines are not associated with autism. There's a fringe out there that thinks so, but they're quite a fringe. President Trump agrees that vaccines are safe. And if you look at the consequences of not taking vaccine, there's 2 children dead in West Texas from not taking a measles vaccine. There's a woman pregnant who lost her child because she was exposed to someone who did not have the measles vaccine. There's children in my state who've died from things like pertussis recently because they weren't vaccinated. So discuss this with your doctor. Vaccines are safe. That's the most important message.
Earlier this year, you started sounding the alarm about those 2 unvaccinated children in Texas who died. And obviously, measles is a vaccine-preventable illness. How worried are you that this change to the CDC's website and Secretary Kennedy's other actions are going to result in more dead Americans?
Anything that undermines the understanding, the correct understanding, the absolute scientifically based understanding that vaccines are safe and that if you don't take them, you're putting your child or yourself in greater danger. Anything that underlines that message is a problem. And so I want to make America healthy again. I agree with President Trump. Vaccines are safe. And so I just encourage everybody, if you've got a question, discuss with your physician. I will say, Jake, I've never met any parent who wasn't a pediatrician as well who actually reads the CDC website. So the most important thing is discuss it with your child's physician or your physician. Vaccines are safe. They're indicated. Please get vaccinated. Protect yourself. Make your family healthy.
You were the deciding vote that allowed RFK Jr. to ascend to the role of health secretary. Here is how you explained that vote on the Senate floor.
It confirmed he will maintain the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices recommendations without changes. CDC will not remove statements on their website pointing out that vaccines do not cause autism.
So you just said that you've never met anybody other than pediatricians who read the CDC website, but back then you were talking about the importance of the CDC website. Watching this, did you give RFK Jr. too much credit? What are you going to do now to push back against this?
Well, first, I'm not minimizing these changes. They are important because you need to send the consistent signal that vaccines are safe. I'll just say that. And again, President Trump agrees that vaccines are safe and important, and that should not be undermined. If you, as we both know, there's an asterisk associated with that change on the website. The asterisk reflects a conversation he and I had, but I'll leave it at that. The fact is, the scientific community agrees that vaccines are safe. Talk to your physician. Keep your family safe. Don't be misled. Don't let your child be one of those who dies, who wouldn't have died had your child been vaccinated. That's all I can say. Speaking as a physician, as a parent and a grandparent, there are things more important than ideology. There's things that are important as your child's health. Get your child vaccinated.
As you know, this goes way beyond just vaccinations. A member of the Kennedy family this weekend, Tatiana Schlossberg, JFK's granddaughter, she has a moving essay in The New Yorker about her fatal cancer diagnosis. And in it she writes, quote, "As I spent more and more of my life under the care of doctors, nurses, and researchers striving to improve the lives of others, I watched as Bobby," that's a reference to RFK Jr., "cut nearly $500 million for research into mRNA vaccines, technology that could be used against certain cancers. He slashed billions in funding from the NIH. And she goes on and on and on. RFK Jr., according to his own family, is causing real damage to the health of the United States of America. You don't seem willing to criticize him by name at all, unlike members of his family.
So, Jake, clearly, this conversation, you want me to be on the record saying something negative. And, of course, it makes news if Republicans spite each other. I get that.
I don't even know that he's a Republican.
Rather focusing upon, or whatever. But but I'm all about how do we make America healthy? And I speak as a physician. And I don't think the tit for tat is what people are about. I don't think the inside the beltway, oh, he said, she said, he said, he said. I think what's important, Jake, and what we should be focused on right now is how do we make America healthy? You mentioned healthcare costs. Right now, some insurance policies are so expensive that people cannot afford the deductible, so they don't get the needed care. That actually has more of an impact upon making people healthy than the New Yorker essay, which is a good essay, I understand. I'm not minimizing. But if we're actually going to speak about what's important to the American people, get vaccinated, discuss with your physician, but also how do we help it so you can afford the health care? And so, Jake, I know it's titillating, but I think we need to move beyond the titillation into actually what matters to the American people.
I'm going to turn to your health care plan because I know you really want to talk about it, but I'll just say, this isn't about titillation. This is about the fact that you are the chairman of the health committee and you voted to confirm somebody that, by all accounts from the medical and scientific community and his own family, including his dying cousin, this health secretary is actually making America less healthy when it comes to vaccines and studies. But let's turn to your new health care plan because I know you really want to talk about it. You're proposing this change to Obamacare subsidies. You want the premium tax credits to be converted into federal contributions into health savings accounts. We just heard Kevin Hassett say a similar thing, so that Americans can use this for out-of-pocket health care costs. There are right now millions of Americans who are about to lose health insurance in weeks when these Obamacare subsidies expire. Is there anything in your plan that will stop that?
Absolutely. If you take the same amount of money that under the extended, there's two types of Obamacare subsidies. There's the baseline, we're not touching that. There's the other, which are called the enhanced, started under the Biden administration because Obamacare policies have become so expensive, they had to subsidize the subsidy. What we would do is take the enhanced premium tax credits and we'd still make sure that patients don't pay too much as a percent of their income for the insurance. But we would take the extra amount that's available and put it into a health savings account. Now the person, when they have a policy with a $5,000 deductible, has $1,000 or $2,000 in their health savings account to help pay for that. And the way we afford it, when you give money to insurance companies, 20% of that goes for profit and overhead. That's under the Obamacare law. 20% goes for profit and overhead. And by the way, they have to give you permission to get the care that you know you need. Under our plan, 100% goes to take care of patients. It goes all to the patient, and they don't have to seek permission. They can use all that money for the care they know they need. It gives power to the patient. So yes, we're working on it. Yes, we can do it. And yes, I think we can have it ready for 2026.
Several Republicans are also pitching different health care plans of their own, including Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott. Have you gotten buy-in from other Republicans in the Senate for your plan? Have you spoken with President Trump about it?
So Rick Scott's plan is more for 2027. It's got some really good stuff, a lot of stuff that we are overlapping. And so we have to certainly consider how do we lower healthcare costs in the long term. If you will, I think it's a two-step process. First step would be what do we do about this coming year? Because we got to help Americans this coming year. Obamacare has become the Unaffordable Care Act, and these deductibles that people have are just unaffordable too. So how do we help them this coming year? And then how do we help our entire country after that? And Rick's more about after that. I'm for after that too, but I'm also about this coming plan year and working very closely with the Trump administration. I was texting yesterday because I worked all day yesterday on this and texting last night with members of the administration. Let's get it done.
Republicans are working up against a tight deadline. I mean, Obamacare subsidies are set to expire in just over 5 weeks, and your party has yet to come to a consensus on a plan. Do you have full confidence that this can be done before America spirals into an even worse healthcare crisis than it's already in?
So, yeah, I do. Henry Ford once said, whether you say you can or you say you can't, you're always right. And by the way, a lot of the legal framework of what we hope to do is already in place. What we're really talking about is about Americans still being on the exchange, but choosing a bronze plan instead of a silver plan. And the metal levels you can look up, but bronze plans tend to be less expensive. Why? Because they have a higher deductible. But wait, we're going to give people money in their health savings account that helps pay for that deductible. So on net, the cost of being insured is less. The cost of the premium plus the cost of your deductible would be less under our plan than under the status quo. And did I say, power to the patient? You can get the health care that you know you need as opposed to the health care that the insurance company gives you permission to get. So we think it's a better plan, power to the patient, not profits to the insurance company, and I think it can be ready.